Hello and welcome to June 11th, where we're reading 2 Kings 5 and 6. Now, these chapters just continue. They pick up from the miraculous stuff of yesterday, and they continue on to the miraculous stuff today. And it's the story of Naaman. It's probably familiar to you if you've read much of the Old Testament before. Now, Elisha, he was doing a bunch of miracles. He gave somebody a child. He raised the child from the dead after the kid died. He solved somebody's soup problems. He made a food quality issue. He fixed that. Made it safe to eat. He made a food quantity issue. He fixed that. He made there be enough food to eat, and so he has control of quantity and quality of food. That's an interesting point, but that's from chapter 4. By the time you get to chapter 5, he has demonstrated the ability to heal. He has demonstrated the ability to help people, but that even extends to Israel's enemies. It's interesting when God says you should love your neighbor and love your enemy as well. Elisha is kind of the first one to act that out. There's this general in Syria. Syria is a force that is against Israel that comes to attack them, quite often. But there's this general in Syria. His name is Naaman, and he has this leprosy, some kind of skin disease. I don't know how serious it was. But his solution is ultimately to go to Israel and seek help for it, to which Elisha steps up and is willing to help, and is willing to help purify Naaman. Of course, there's a bunch of stuff that goes into that story. There are a bunch of further details. If you want the written page, you'll see notes on that. Suffice it to say, he follows God's will exactly, and that's what purifies him, and so he goes home rejoicing. By the time you get to chapter 6, you're still dealing with a bunch of miracles. This is the last chapter where you're going to see a ton of miracles. I guess chapter 7 as well, but it's primarily chapter 6. They're really one story. In chapter 6, you have somebody who loses the head of an axe, and so Elijah fixes it for him. You have this king of Syria who's going to war with Israel a bunch of different times, and Elisha just is kind of the fortune teller who says, I know where they're going to be, and then Israel is able to win every single war because they know where Syria is coming from. Ultimately, Syria gets mad at that, and so they go and attack Elisha specifically. They go and fight him, and Elisha just kind of prays to God, and God takes care of the situation, blinds the whole enemy army. Elisha takes them back to Samaria and captures them, lets them go free, of course, because, why not have mercy? But it's a message to Syria to not attack again until Syria does attack again. But we'll cover that more tomorrow. I know it's really in chapter 6, but it's really also in chapter 7, and so we'll talk about the details of the siege of Samaria further tomorrow, June 12th. We're going to be reading 2 Kings 7, 8, and 9, so we'll talk about chapter 6 from about verse 24 all the way through chapter 9. See you then.